Hello everybody, it is January 28th, 2018, 2:56 p.m. Alright, so we have some activity going on as far as tropical cyclones go in two different oceans. We have the South Indian Ocean and then two in the Southern Pacific Ocean. Now, before we get into the detail of these, I just want to go over something that some people get confused here. Now, hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons are all the exact same thing. They are just determined on where they are in the world. So basically, a hurricane is named a hurricane because it's in the Northeast Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean. A typhoon is named when it's in the Northwest Pacific Ocean. And then cyclones, like we'll be talking about today, are in the South Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So I just wanted to clear that up for some of you that get confused over why they use different names. All the same things, and again, the rotation depends on whether it's in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere storms tend to go in a counterclockwise motion, and then southern hemisphere storms tend to go in a clockwise motion. Apparently that is based on the rotation of the Earth. I know some people disagree with that. That is just the data that I have for you right now. But now that we have that cleared up, let's look at what's going on here. So this is a current satellite image of what is probably more than likely going to be soon to named Cebile, I believe. It's Cebile. This is Tropical Cyclone 07S. This one is currently 741 miles, nautical miles, southeast of Diego Garcia, which is an island in the South Indian Ocean. They actually believe that this will develop into a named storm within the next 24 hours. We have a semi-track to look at here. For the most part, from what I can see, I'll show you this on Tropical Tidbits as well. This is not so much going to affect any sort of landmass. I don't see a landfall depending on where this thing decides to go. It does seem to be becoming a very strong storm though. And once again, I will show you that on Tropical Tidbits. Now, for our second storm, this one is located, let me bring you back to this page. So this is Cebile right here, which is projected to move from this area. It looks to be that it's going to move in a western direction and then south again, and then probably expand and break up around this area. We're not quite sure yet. We got to keep an eye on it, but this could very well turn into an all-out cyclone, which is equivalent to a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. So basically, a hurricane is forming in the Indian Ocean as we speak right now. Very strong, rapidly growing, which is why you see the name here and the red here, tropical cyclone reference warnings. Anything with a circle around it is the development is likely within 24 hours. Our second disturbance we have here, as you can see, is TC08P, which is tropical cyclone. Now with this one, unfortunately, this seems to be forming right over New Caledonia. And then if it continues its movement and continues to form, it looks to be heading south right towards the islands of New Zealand. So as of right now, it's 293 nautical miles northwest of Naumea, Naumea, New Caledonia. Sorry about the pronunciations, guys. I am working on them, again, as I always say. So this one seems to be forming not as quick as TC07S here, Cebile, but nonetheless is forming. And if it does survive the land interaction here with New Caledonia, it is projected to head towards New Zealand. So people in those areas should be very aware of this if you're not already being warned about it from your local weather. Now over here to the right you can see INVEST94P. Now there's not much to look at here because it is an invest. There is some formation going on, but as far as the information we have right now, it is a tropical disturbance in the southern Pacific, so it will be a cyclone if it does form. Right now it is called INVEST94P. It is 908 nautical miles southeast of Pape'ete, Tahiti. Once again, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but I will tag these with the correct spelling so the people in these areas can get an idea of what to expect from these three storms. So we do have three tropical disturbances going on. All would be cyclones based on where they are on the Earth, on planet Earth. So let's once again take a look at what we got here. So this is the current satellite image of Cebile, or Cebile, however you want to pronounce it. We can clearly see an I formation here. I do not have the loop running right now because for some reason every time I start it, it freezes and I have to reload the page. So when I do have an update for this, I will show you if it has formed more or if we begin to see more of a defined eye. Again, I don't see this making any sort of landfall, which is a good thing, but nonetheless, this is a significant cyclone that they're watching very closely. Again, here are projected tracks, no land masses within sight. The GFS and the GEM as well as NavGem have projections of this all moving in a southern direction. Which would be away from land, which is a good thing. This right here, I know for some of you could look like a mess, but this is New Caledonia right here, so the storm seems to be forming right over the island, actually. So again, if it does survive, that's when we need to be worrying about what's going on after that, because if it's forming over New Caledonia, they will get significant weather from it, but certainly not as bad as if it forms and then turns into a cyclone and then heads towards New Zealand. So yet another one to watch. These are the current projections of it. It may miss to the west of New Caledonia, but if this map was a little bit bigger, you would see it's heading right down towards New Zealand. All the models have this moving in a southern direction, and the formation of it seems to be happening right around here is when we may begin to see that eye wall and the significant rotation for this storm. Now, as far as the INVEST94P, again, just looks like a little bit of a mess here, but it is an invest nonetheless. They are beginning to see rotation in this. This is the most current satellite image I could find of this one. And that's where we're at right now, guys. We have three cyclones possibly forming all at the same time. Two in the South Pacific and then one in the South Indian Ocean, which again would make them all cyclones, not hurricanes or typhoons. Excuse me. Now on to tropical tidbits. Now I'm going to hit play here. These are the GFS versions. This right here is Cebile, if the pronunciation is correct. And when I hit play here, you can get an idea of where the direction is heading. You could see it makes a little bit of a western movement there. Kind of levels out and heads directly west, and then begins to head in a southeastern direction. And as we run out of frames here, it begins to just keep heading south. So again, and then as you can see at the bottom there, it begins to whip underneath, basically underneath out of frame. We can't see at this moment. If I were to bring up another map that shows more of the globe here, we could see where it goes, but I just feel it's important that you can see the definition here. From those of you that have been following me, when you see stuff like this, this is, if you saw this in the Atlantic Ocean, that is a straight up hurricane, and the pressure hit 944, I believe, right around this area. That is pretty significant. So there you have it there. That is the most significant of the three as of right now. And as we move towards the end of this frame here, you can see yet another cyclone forming here, which just goes to show, guys, that we're beginning to enter time of activity. There's going to be a lot of activity going on in the Indian Oceans, and even in the South Pacific areas, we're going to be seeing activity. And then eventually, as we move into March and April, that's when you're going to start seeing those cyclones, or hurricanes rather, I'm sorry, starting to form off the west coast of Africa and then moving across that western belt we always talk about towards the Caribbean and then possibly up to the East Coast. So just to give you an idea of the timing and how the different hurricane seasons move across the earth based on the atmospheric conditions. You can also see one, sorry about that. This thing always seems to want to just jump into the map itself. You can also see one developing here as well. So as we get into the second week of February, we could be seeing a lot more action than what we're seeing right now. So there will be a lot to talk about when it comes to these storms. Now here I have pulled up for the South Pacific storm Tropical Cyclone 08P, which again is 293 nautical miles northwest of Naomi, New Caledonia. Now this is the one that's expected to go maybe just to the west of New Caledonia and then head right down towards New Zealand. As I hit play here, you will see why I think that's going to happen. And right now is where you'd want to watch, where it reforms and then heads right into New Zealand. So the people in New Zealand, whether or not this becomes a full-blown cyclone or not, you can clearly see that it's going to bring significant weather to the coast, and then it looks to move right over top of it. So this is actually pretty severe. Now that I'm looking at it now, the map seems to have changed a little bit. Those purples were not there about 20 minutes ago, so sorry I keep clicking back. I'm actually watching this live with you guys as I'm talking about it. But yeah, that would be very significant to the coastlines of those islands in New Zealand. Again, this would be into February 1st right now. So the people of New Zealand need to be on watch for this, because whether or not this becomes a cyclone, you saw it yourself, those deep purple colors, that's a lot of moisture. That can bring a lot of wind and rain depending on the speed that it's heading. And let's see, this frame right here is what bothers me a lot, because all it is just purple along the entire coastline of New Zealand. So there you have it on Tropical Tidbits. We do have yet another low pressure system forming right behind it, and then a third one to the right. Now I'm not sure if this is that 94P invest moving from west to east into this area. I tried finding a map on Tropical Tidbits that allowed me to see the movement of 94P, but all I got were some snapshots, which I'm going to show you now. So we have this website pulled up on another part of Tropical Tidbits. Again, this is that Tropical Cyclone 07S, which is Cebile, which you can clearly see the I formation. As we move down into the website here, you can see how the models are all showing it moving in a southern direction. The GFS ensembles have a lot more models, all of them moving south, which is a good thing because it's not going to hit any sort of major land masses. Now on to the second one, 08P, which would be the one heading towards New Caledonia. You can see again, this is the picture I just showed you. New Caledonia right here, and then it's going to move south into New Zealand, which you can see right here in this area. Sorry for those of you that are on tablets and phones, probably hard to see. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Excuse me, guys. And then move down. Here we go. So you can see the projected models here bring it over New Caledonia and then south and then directly right over New Zealand. So again, guys, regardless of whether or not this becomes an actual cyclone, even if it stays as a tropical cyclone and doesn't cross over into that cyclone speed, we are going to be seeing some very significant weather in New Zealand. So my followers from New Zealand, please be aware of that. Please be prepared. Please keep an eye on what is going on currently, because we're talking about 3 days from now, you could be dealing with severe surf weather, very high tides, flooding, all that sorts that the Northeast and the Atlantic Ocean dealt with all hurricane season long in 2017. Now here is what information I got on 94P, which is yet another invest, which means they're investigating it currently. It has not been given a tropical cyclone name yet. If anything, I believe the Tropical Cyclone 08P will be the next one that's named if it does form, the one heading towards New Zealand. But as far as information for 94P, this is what we have. Now again, it's going to be moving in a southeastern direction, not looking like it's going to do anything to land, which is a good thing, but just the fact that we have 3 significant cyclones forming at the same time, all in South Indian and the South Pacific, shows that we are beginning to see action in this part of the world. Now there is another invest, 90P, which seems to be forming over land. Now, I'm going to look more into this one. I may make a separate video on this. This was actually registered at 990 as far as pressure goes. And here's the location for any of you that want to look it up if you live in these areas. This is the global model. This is the GFS ensemble. All of it having forming over land and then moving south. Now, my concern would be obviously the people in the path of this storm, but once it reaches this part of the ocean, depending on temperatures, will it reform into a cyclone? Will it stay alive is basically what I'm worried about. So once again, guys, we have some action going on in different parts of the world, which is very much important, just as important as where Americans live. I like to cover world weather as well as our Atlantic hurricane season, which is 124 days away, by the way, for those of you that are keeping count. So there you have it, guys. We have a significant storm, TC07S, Cebile, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is clearly, at least in my opinion, going to be a cyclone. Norway Mapping, a buddy of mine, pointed out a lot of this information to me, so thank you to him once again as well. He's always posting links and really great information down in the comment section, so keep an eye out for his links. Sometimes they pop up in my approved section, so it takes me a minute or two to get them actually posted. I'm trying to make that so his comments can be posted automatically because his links are very useful and they get out there quick. So I really appreciate that, Norway Mapping. Thank you for this information. But you can see here, guys, all three of these storms are being recognized, and they're all in red. They're all high priority situations. Again, within the next 24 hours, we could see a named storm here. I believe it'll be less than 24 hours before this is officially named and officially a cyclone. And then we have 94P to worry about. And then as you saw at the bottom of this page here, we have a fourth one, which is 90P Invest. Now, the reason that I don't think they have this labeled as a hazardous situation is because it's forming over land. Usually when that happens, it forms and dies over land. And again, my concern would be is if it makes it through this landmass and then ends up on the ocean and then reforms. So we're going to have to just see what happens with that. And that would be that. Now, one more time, I'll take you through the one significant cyclone we have going on. Let me zoom out again here just so I have use of my play button. Sorry about the delay here, guys. I'm basically doing this on the fly with you. Pretty significant stuff going on with these cyclones. So there you have it. This is January 27th, and now we are into current time right now. This looks like any hurricane I've ever seen, so I really expect this to become a cyclone. And if you notice right there, guys, that pressure number is very, very low. That is 928. So I, honestly, within the next 24 hours, I do truly believe that this will be an all-out cyclone. Now, as far as wind speeds go, I don't have Vent2 Sky pulled up, but you can expect wind speeds to be upwards into a Category 3 situation. Again, I'm going to make another follow-up video on this. I just wanted to get this information out to you, and at least to the people that live in these areas, that they have some significant weather that is going to be heading their way. And once again, as I let this play through, you can see two more cyclones beginning to form, which I think is very important to point out because that's just showing that there is a lot of activity going on. Now, as that cyclone moves south and we get into these last frames here, you can see off to the right here, there is one, and here is number two. So these could very well become cyclones themselves. So we could be dealing with a rapid fire type situation in the South Indian Ocean. Some of these tend to form up in this area. It's a little cooler up here, and I think that's why they're staying below this area. And again, anything in the southern hemisphere, they move clockwise. Anything in the northern hemisphere, these things move counterclockwise. So again, there is some confusion with that, and there's confusion between what a hurricane, a typhoon, and a cyclone is. Basically all the same exact thing, just depends on where in the world they are. So guys, that's the information I have for you right now. I will be following up on this, and I hope everyone is staying safe. We are dealing with more earthquake situations going on. There was yet another tsunami warning that I think was extinguished shortly after it was put out. So I don't see a need to make a video about that. There is a lot of information out there already on it. It was a 6.6 earthquake, I believe. But we are just seeing a lot of activity on the globe right now, and it is getting pretty significant. Kind of scary, in my opinion. But thank you guys again for sitting through this with me. I appreciate every single one of you. We will be keeping a close eye on this, and keep an eye out once again for Norway Mapping in the comment section. He posts a lot of useful links, especially for these storms that we're talking about right now. Cebile, this storm right here, even though it doesn't seem to be threatening any sort of land masses, it is something to keep an eye out for. And I think the main concern right now as far as landfall goes would be this second storm, Tropical Cyclone 08P, which could be named within a day from now. Again, New Caledonia will take the hit of this first, and then it will move south into New Zealand, which looks to be like it's going to get hit pretty hard with this storm, guys. So those of you in New Zealand, prepare, please. Local news is very important for stuff like this. I will have updates on it. And that's what I have for you for now, guys. Thank you so much. I will be back on here later on this afternoon or this evening. If not, then first thing tomorrow morning. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.